Hey YouTube. So it's Tuesday morning after Memorial Day holiday. It was a nice weekend. Not exactly quiet, but quiet enough to relax. So working on the molding again. I cut all this base molding this morning as well as this stuff. And some of the things that I wanted to show some people. I get questions, about bends in mold in wood and different things like that, and what do you do with it. Let me just show you something here I think that is interesting myself. So if you look down this piece of molding here, you can see there's a bend in the middle of it. Okay, so in other words, this bend goes like this. Okay, alright, so when you go to use this molding, let's just look at it this way. Suppose we were setting this molding somewhere, and you see there's a gap there. Okay, there's a big gap between the board, or the floor actually, and where the molding would be. And all you need to do is put pressure on that, and you can put it down to where it's supposed to be, and it actually makes the molding straight along the whole, what would be a floor. Now in this case, in reality, this molding, what it is it's up off the floor a little bit here at this end. It's touching the board all the way down, but here it's off. So what you do with something like this is you start at one end and you nail the molding so that the molding stays down. What you want to do is push down on it so it stays down. Now the more you push down, the more that comes up over there. So what you do is you start nailing it. You start nailing it along here every so often, maybe every 16 inches or so, depends on how you're going to nail. If you're going to nail it to the studs, which is always a good idea, then that would work out well. And then as you get over this way, what you do is you push down on the molding, and a good way to do this would be to, like with this oak, you may pre-drill it and stick some nails in it, maybe 4 nails or so, or 6, or whatever you think you need to hold it. And then you put weight down on one side, and then you have you have your hammer hand to use to drive the nails in along there to hold the molding straight. So that's how you handle molding that's crooked. So a lot of times people, they go to the store, and you can always tell whether they know what they're doing or not when they take the time to pick out perfect molding that's not crooked at all. Now don't get me wrong, there's some stuff that's unusable, but there is molding that is very usable, and people, they only want the best, they think. I mean, they're paying top price for it, so they think that they should have the best. The only reason you're paying top price for it is because it's not used enough to be able to be at a low price, like what pine would be, for instance. But either way, there is ways to work with the molding. So what I want to show you here, let me just get this cleaned off. What I want to show you here is how you handle some crooked things. For instance, I want you to look at this board. Now, it's not been cut into molding. Look how crooked this board is. Looking down here, I would say it's a good 3/4 of an inch bow right in the middle here. I'm actually going to run this through the sawmill, or not the sawmill, but through the circular saw and then through the planer, and you'll see just what happens with wood that's bent like this, because it should not be tossed. Okay guys, so this is that bent board that I'm going to put through the saw table. Now the bend goes like this. So what we want to do is we want to turn this and use this side, okay, because this is the side that is going to be against the fence, and as long as you have part of the board against the fence, you're going to be sweeping through there. And because the blade is fairly narrow, okay, this direction, because it's kind of narrow, you can actually cut a crooked cut with the board. Now, this is not the best way to do things with your circular saw, but I'm not looking for precision here. I'm looking for production. I need to get as many boards cut as I can, and I can't be fooling around making jigs and trying to cut straight boards out of here, because if I cut 3/4 of an inch too far, I may end up without that second piece. Now this is a 2x7, or a 1x7, so there's no way I'm going to get 2 pieces out of this. But what I'm getting at here is you can cut a board that's bent on a table saw and still use it as molding. So just let me show you how I'm going to do this. So mind the noise of the saw. The idea here is to keep against the fence. Let me move you over here so you can see that. Hold on. Now stay against the fence on that side. Now you notice how the board's coming away from the fence at that far end? That's because you're cutting the bed. Now if you look down this board is still bent, okay? But I'm going to turn this piece of wood that you're looking at here into a piece of molding. This 1x2 here, I'm just going to take and set them to the side. I have a stack of them here. They can always be used for something. At the worst, you can use them for furring strips. Not exactly recommending red oak for furring strips. Kind of tough to nail, but you can use them for something. Alright, so you see how this board is really bent. There's a bow in it with the wide part of the wood. The opposite way, it's fairly flat. Alright, so this is what you get when you go to make molding out of this. So let me show you that step. Really hot day today. Wow. Try and get you high enough here so you can see both things happening. Tell you a little bit about what I'm doing here with this. Now if you look here, you can see there's a worm mark or some kind of an insect mark that ate through the back of this wood. Now what we want to do here is try and use this wood to our advantage. Since the bottom part of the base molding is the thicker part, okay, thicker in thickness, what we're going to do is we're going to turn that down and we're going to use this side to go through the planer. There's another little knot here which is not a big deal. This will be cut out with the planer, and then you have one here that may show up a little bit, but it's not a big deal. So I also took the thing off the molder here that would go into a vacuum system because I found it to be a nuisance. It takes up too much time for me to be cleaning this out all the time. You don't have to clean it at all if you use it without the hookup on it. I'm just throwing the stuff, as you can see, into the backhoe bucket. Let me see what you're seeing here. Okay. if you notice, that eaten out spot doesn't show up on the face side of the molding. So that's a good thing, and this is the face that will, you know, be showing. So this is how you would use your head to cut the molding so that you can use it in your application without wasting it. Now this could go down a little bit yet. There's a little edge on here that'll come off if I go down a half a turn, so I'm going to do that. So there you go. Not bad. Got a little crack here, but a lot of that stuff can be touched up with a little bit of wood filler, especially the stuff they make these days. You won't even see that. Now here there's a pretty big chunk missing. However, if you think about it, this is very low within the base, within the molding that you might want to add to this if you put carpeting or something, or tile or linoleum down. So we're still probably going to use this. We'll see. But it's still crooked. You know, if you look down it, if you look down there, it's still got a bend to it. But nonetheless, you can still work with this because a good carpenter knows how to handle these things. Well, we got 400 feet of base molding made today, but didn't get very much video made. It was really a hot day today, and I'm hoping to be able to do some sawmilling tomorrow. See what happens. I have more red oak that I need to cut up.